Everybody all right? All right, let's call the meeting to order. It's the meeting of the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority, regular board meeting of September 22nd, 2023. The board did meet in executive session. We discussed some personnel matters and some updates on the capital program. But Deb, let's have the roll call.
Sure. Ms. McCormick Barron.
Here.
Ms. Christello.
Here.
Mr. Domoff.
Here.
Ms. Lever. Mr. Martin.
Present.
Dr. Morrell.
Here.
Mr. Shuley.
Here.
Ms. Strasburger.
Here.
7 board members are present.
All right, thank you. Do we have any speakers for public comment?
We do. We have Ms. Noreen Taylor for public comment.
I'm here regarding the water bills at 3434 Colby Street. On June the 7th, I got a bill for $558 for 16,000 gallons of water. And another one on July the 11th for $419 for 12,000 gallons of water. I called PWSA. Service rep said that I was due for a new meter. So I had a plumber inspect the premises and he found that there were no leaks or evidence of excessive water use. Now, a new water meter was installed on 7/13/23 after PWSA had dug up the sidewalk. Now, a report that I got from PWSA said that the old meter was 99% accurate, but when the new meter was installed, the bill was down to $56. Now, if both of these meters were accurate, why is there such a big discrepancy in the readings? Now, I've been paying the water bills for almost 4 years at this property. And since my father's deceased, I asked to have my name put on his account. And shortly after, that's when I received the extremely high water bills. No one lives in the house, but I go over there every week to maintain the property and pay the bills. Now, if you look at the history of water usage at this house, you'll find that it's very unlikely that 28,000 gallons of water would have been used in a 2-month period in this house. Now, in view of these facts, several conclusions can be drawn. 1, the old meter was defective. 2, something was wrong in the street that caused PWSA to dig up the sidewalk. Or else, number 3, a clerical error was made when the account numbers were changed. Now, I have no desire to defraud the water company, but on the other hand, I don't think I should have to pay almost $1,000 for water that we didn't use. So thank you for letting me speak to you. And I just wanted to leave some things, perhaps if you wanted to look later, it's or review what I said. Thank you again.
All right, thank you, Ms. Taylor. We'll take your comments under advisement here. And I'm sure, Will, you're going to investigate the matter. All right, first order of business is the approval of the minutes of August 25th, 2023. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes of August 25th, 2023, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the minutes are approved. Next item is the confirmation of CEO approvals, and all CEO approvals from the prior month are confirmed. And we'll move to reports and updates. First up, Finance Department, Mr. Barca.
Morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Within the finance report, you'll see that year-to-date receipts through August 31st, 2023 of $134.8 million, or approximately 65% of the total budget for the year. Particularly, August was a very strong month with 21 million collected in receipts for all PWSA charges for the month. That is the highest amount we've ever collected in a single month here at PWSA. In August, it was led by water receipts, which made up about 12.8 million of the 21 million in total. And that recovery in water receipts now puts us in line with our annual budget we're projecting for the end of the year for water receipts. You may recall the past 2 months, I noted that there were some under collections with water, but we have seen that recover here in August, which is a good sign. Total forecasted year-end receipts, excluding the budgeted 4.5 million transfer from the rate stabilization fund, are $208.2 million. This represents a 1.5 million or 0.7% increase as compared to the budget. The transfer from the rate stabilization fund is no longer planned due to the stronger than expected receipts for the year. Year-to-date departmental operating expenditures are $74.7 million, or 63.1% of the total budget. $68.6 million in debt service costs have been paid year-to-date, which is 89.7% of the total budget. And forecasted year-end debt service is projected to be $72.6 million, or about $3.9 million lower than budget. And that savings is attributable to the financing that the authority executed earlier this year. PwC's cash balance on August 31st, 2023 was $75.4 million, which is $10.1 million higher as compared to the prior year. And in addition, year-to-date capital expenditures are $63.9 million. Last, I want to note that I was proud to represent PwC at the Financing Solutions for Water Infrastructure workshop last week in Philadelphia. This workshop was sponsored by the AWWA and was held after the broader AWWA Water Infrastructure Conference, which was also held last week. And Barry, you may be commenting that on your, in your report, so I don't want to steal your thunder. Barry also presented as well. But my workshop specifically had representatives from the US EPA, various consulting firms, and other municipal water utilities. And I gave a presentation on the advantages of combining the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act funding, otherwise known as WIFIA, with state revolving funds to solve critical infrastructure needs. I specifically used the water reliability plan that we have here at PwC as an example, just given that we have both of those components in that financing plan. This was a great opportunity, in my opinion, really to showcase PwC's leadership within the industry, being that PwC is the only entity in Pennsylvania to have combined WIFIA and state revolving funds on a specific project. Really the ultimate goal here, of that combination of these advantages is cost savings to our ratepayers. So again, being able to showcase that as an example here at PwC to other entities across the state, but there was also national entities there as well, was really a good opportunity. And this concludes my report, and I'll turn it back over to the board for any questions. Thank you.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Barca?
Did you really go to the Philly Waterworks?
Really did. Philadelphia was a tough sell, but I went.
Did you do a comparison and taste test?
I didn't go that far because I knew ours was better, so I didn't need to taste
Right.
it.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Well, congrats, Ed. Obviously, it's always nice to be acknowledged, and we've been talking about telling our story, so it's an opportunity to tell our story a little bit. So good job. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
terrific. Thanks.
Next up is the engineering department. Mr. King.
Good morning, Chair Shuley and members of our board. This morning, I hope you can entertain my engineering side of loving data. So I'm going to share some facts with regards to some of the programs that we have going on right now. So I'll begin with our drinking water programs, and our lead service line replacement programs continue to progress well. A total of 10,433 and public and 7,300 private side lead service lines have been replaced throughout the city through the active small diameter water main replacement and the lead service line replacement programs up through September 20th, 2023. The American Recovery Plan grant funded 2022 neighborhood LSLR program is finishing work in the Hazelwood area in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be moving into the last neighborhood, Troy Hill, pending approval of the contract change order we will present today. While we are not finding as much lead as we anticipated, we have expanded the reach of this program from the originally anticipated 1,400 lead service line locations. We will have addressed, upon the approval of the change order, approximately 2,400 locations in total. We anticipate that all the lead service line work under this contract will be completed in 2023, with potentially some service restoration as a remaining element of work for 2024. The Penvest funded 2023A neighborhood LSLR program kicked off in late July. And the first neighborhood of Esplin is complete, with crews presently working in the Lincoln, Leamington, Belmar neighborhood, where they will be until late 2023. We are preparing for the closing of another Penvest LSLR project in January of 2024, and the procurement process is underway for all the related CMCI and construction contracts and agreement lists for the selected neighborhoods, which are being finalized for a November agreement list. Of November mailing, forgive me. Finally, we're in the process of planning stages for another Penvest funding application for 2024. Next, I'll update you on the progress being made on the construction efforts for the water reliability plan. The Highland Reservoir Pump Station Supply and Rising Main project, construction is approximately 90% complete. The partial replacement of the supply main and the construction of the new rising main are around approximately 95% total completion, as both mains have been installed, pressure tested, and awaiting the final tie-in and disinfection. Completion of the remaining scopes of work for this project, excluding final restoration, is anticipated by October 31st. The Rising Main 4 construction is approximately 80% complete in Highland Park, with all the carbon fiber reinforced polymer lining completed to date. The only scopes of work remaining to be completed is the construction of the new crossover connection between Rising Mains 3 and 4, the installation of various concrete structures, and one tie-in connection near the Brecon Pump Station. With that, we'll be complete on Rising Main 4. All construction work is tentatively scheduled to be completed the week of November 6th, with disinfection currently planned for the week of November 13th. Rising Main 4 will return to service following receipt of our operating permits from the state. Regarding the state, the schedule that we have proposed will ensure that the certificate of construction completion is submitted well before the consent order deadline of January 14th, 2024. I want to note that bids were received successfully yesterday for 5 contracts associated with the Highland Reservoir Pump Station project. That included the construction contracts for the general, electrical, HVAC, and plumbing, as well as a professional services agreement contract for contract management and inspection services. We will bring the award recommendations for before the board during the regular October meeting. That is our anticipation. And then the design and permitting efforts continue on the remaining water reliability plan projects, including the Aspinwall and Brecon Pump Station improvements and the Clearwell emergency bypass. As for other procurement activity, note that the machine learning predictive model PSA will close on September 26th. The 2023 water line relay contract will close on October 3rd. Bids for the general, mechanical, electrical, and HVAC and plumbing contracts for the Lanford Reservoir Booster Disinfection Improvements Project closes on October 9th. The 2024 Catch Basin and Inlet Replacement CMCI Professional Services Agreement closes on October 16th. And the 2023 Neighborhood Lead Service Line Replacement Construction Contract number 2 will close on October 17th. This concludes engineering and construction's September board report. I'll turn it back over to the board to answer any questions.
Questions or comments for Mr. King?
One question, what was the machine learning contract?
So that's with regards to our lead service line program. It's specifically with regards to the predictive model that's associated with identifying where the lead service lines are anticipated to be throughout the city. So it's an actual effort that it's required under our consent.
Questions or comments? did have a question. I saw a commentary on the news about the funds for the American Recovery Act, specifically referring to the city, that the city's going to have a difficult time spending those funds in the time period that they have before those funds get returned to the federal government. You mentioned the American Recovery Act funds that PWSA has received. Are we on track to spend all of the funds that we've received? We are.
Yeah, with this change order, allow us to utilize all the remaining funds available to us at this time.
All right. Good job.
And I'll add, we have the capacity to add more,
All right.
Yes.
should those funds be
Maybe
on the
good
table.
That's a good ad.
Maybe you can start working on that, Ed. You know,
Been trying to
maybe there's
communicate that to the
Help the
city.
city.
Yeah.
help the city out in a different way. All right. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Chief Environmental Compliance and Ethics Officer Report. Frank Sederi. How do you fit that title on a business card, you know?
I got a small print, size 6 font. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. 2 items I wanted to update you on. First, September is a notable month in regards to our environmental compliance and ethics program. So if you may recall, it was September 14th of 2021, where the authority pled guilty in district court for violations from previous management associated with the Clean Water Act. That resulted in both our plea agreement as well as our administrative agreement that we have with EPA Suspension and Debarment Office. Just a reminder is, these actions by the government do demonstrate some of the far-reaching impacts to an organization if staff exhibit non-compliant and unprofessional behaviors. However, I think as all of you are aware, PWSA's current leadership and with the board's support has taken many, many steps, as I've reported on over the months I've been able to be up here, to help prevent future non-compliance and affirm our commitment to operating not only in accordance with all of the rules and regulations and the strict requirements of the law, but also that we want to make sure that we're acting with high professional and ethical standards as we execute all of our services for drinking water, wastewater, as well as stormwater. Last month's report, I got into this in a little detail, but I reported that we have been working to expand our environmental compliance and ethics program to all of our PWSA facilities. And that was an obligation that was required under the administrative agreement. And we did fulfill that obligation and provided that information to the EPA earlier this month. Changing gears a little bit, the second area I just wanted to give you an update on is, this is always a mouthful too, the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, or MS4 permit. Just as a reminder, PWSA is a co-permittee on that permit with the city of Pittsburgh, and that regulates our discharge from our storm sewers directly to surface water. So a little different than the storm water that goes into our combined sewer systems. We have 258 separate stormwater outfalls throughout the city. So points where we discharge directly to a surface water. We've been working for quite some time and continue to work on mapping of our stormwater systems that are in city parks over 50 acres. That mapping is something that is required as part of our MS4 permit. And it'll help us provide information on those systems. So the catch basins, inlets, the pipes, and any outfalls that were in these parks and that were previously unmapped or unknown by the city when we kind of took over the maintenance of those facilities. We anticipate that to continue into 2024. We've worked on through a couple of parks here. I think they're just wrapping up Highland Park and are going to be moving to Frick Park here later this summer and into the fall here. So that work does continue. The other important reason I bring up MS4 this month is that our annual MS4 permit is due, or report for the permit is due September 30th to DEP. It's a pretty comprehensive report and it requires a lot of coordination with the city. So my staff's been working with various city departments to gather all of this information together. The permit period goes from July to June of the previous year, and then we submit in September. We're on schedule to get that submitted to provide you an update there by the end of next week. And in general, when we think about our MS4 and what goes into this annual report, there's a lot of different kind of moving parts. So we have public education and participation requirements, an illicit discharge investigation and elimination program, stormwater, construction stormwater controls work. The city does a lot of that through their permitting of best management practices and review of post-construction stormwater management. And then finally, pollution prevention and housekeeping activities that we have to complete. So we're continuing to work in partnership with the city to execute all of that work and stay in compliance with that MS4 permit. As always, I always end, everybody's welcome to contact me, board, consultants, contractors, staff, if you have questions regarding compliance or ethics. Open it up to any questions here today.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for Mr. Sadara?
Yeah, thanks, Frank. The parks over that size are sort of in the current co-op agreement. Can you give us a feel for just how much mapping needs to be done in the parks, and should PWSA no longer be responsible for the parks that can be effectively transmitted to the city?
Well, so I can speak on a few of those pieces. So in terms of how much mapping, we don't know.
Yeah.
And that's part of the
Don't know
effort.
to
So the work that we have ongoing is kind of a two-pronged piece. So we do have, boots on the ground, folks. We do have some existing maps. Sometimes we know where an inlet is in the street, but we don't know what it's connected to or where it goes. So there's an effort right now to identify that system, and then we place cameras in those lines to try to figure out how everything's connected and what outfall it might go to. Often we found, there might be an inlet or a catch basin that's been buried, it's by a picnic shelter that's been abandoned since 1960 or something like that, right?
Okay.
So trying to map all of that is what we're required to do under our permit, so we know where we're discharging. So that is the effort. It's taken some time because of that kind of hunt and find that we've been having to do to make all of that connectivity. I don't know if I can really speak in terms of the, going forward in the future, the
Yeah.
turnover and any of that, but currently the obligation that we're under is we have the maintenance responsibility for that underground stuff, storm sewers within parks greater than 50 acres. So we are taking the lead in doing the mapping of that for the program. So.
Just sort of follow, did parks, just for historical reasons, kind of fall into a particular crack, or is that any more onerous than sort of mapping somewhere else?
Some of it might be a little more onerous because there's a number of those inlets and catch basins that might be off the current roadway system, along trails. Plus, some of these discharge points are down in some of the areas where, there might be a little ravine or a creek or something. So some of that's a little more, challenging to reach. Some of the requirements we've placed on our contractors is the big trucks might not be able to do it. They may have to have mobile camera systems to be able to get to those. And we do coordinate with the city parks folks to make sure that, when we access all of that we're doing so responsibly, that they're aware of where we are.
Okay, thanks.
Very good. Any other questions or comment? All right, thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
All right, finally, we have the Chief Executive Officer's report. Will?
Thank you, Chair Shuley, members of the board, members of the public and staff and consultants that are here with us today. I'll just begin by saying I'm glad Ed highlighted our presence at the Water Infrastructure Conference in Philadelphia. And Barry actually last month highlighted some members of his team that presented on a couple different topics there. So excellent to have a good showing there. And it didn't end there. Julie Meckling actually presented to the Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Association and the Poconos earlier this week to share the story about PWSA's progress. And we're really excited to share with that group because these are our peers, although we are the largest municipal authority kind of in the room. Our hope and expectation is that we can continue to be a resource for some of those smaller municipal authorities struggling with a lot of the same challenges that we have or have had. So thankful for Julie representing PWSA well there. Also, I was asked to present on a webinar hosted by the U.S. Water Alliance related to incorporating equity in decision-making. And so I walked through our equity metrics that we use for prioritizing lead service line replacement and some small diameter water main replacement. And there were representatives from Cincinnati and Philadelphia on that call, so some regional peers. And what I took away from it, those other cities had some very good plans and systems in place, but we were the only ones actually doing the work. So as Barry said, 10,400 public lead service lines are placed in recent history. Some more to go, but we are far ahead of a lot of other cities, and we're going to continue to do that work, and we're being recognized for it. So with that, I'm going to pivot to it. Another quarter has passed, believe it or not. I feel like we were just together a few weeks ago, but it is a PGH2O Excellence Award month. And we have a handful of some excellent recipients from our team today. I'll begin with Keith Gonzalez, who is an operator at our drinking water treatment plant. Keith was working an overnight shift. Our water operators are critical to our 24/7 operations. And on August 30th, shortly before 2 a.m, he noticed that we had lost power to the Brecken pump station. In his vigilance, in not only notifying his management team, but dispatching an electrician to the site as soon as he noticed it, really prevented us from a large boil water advisory or water outage in the Highland One system that we have experienced before. Unfortunately, due to some of the system dynamics at play in that service territory, an outage for a prolonged period of time, it actually doesn't take a prolonged period of time. In a short period of time can have some really big impacts. So big kudos to Keith for recognizing that. We were able to get in touch with Duquesne Light. It was an issue on their end. We were able to resolve it. And in addition, we've also made some connections with Duquesne Light to hopefully prevent an issue like this from occurring in the future. But if it wasn't for Keith, we would be telling a much different story at this board meeting. So congratulations to him for receiving recognition from his manager this month. Transitioning over to our customer service department, I'm happy to recognize Sarah Nunley, who is a compliance analyst. She joined the compliance team in early 2022. She's actually was promoted internally to that role, and she's received recognition from customers and colleagues. She's responsible for drafting reports related to Public Utility Commission complaints. So complaints similar to the one that we heard today from the public witness. Her responsibility is to go back, do due diligence, write up a report for us to assess and respond to. And she has done an excellent job making sure that they're in compliance with our standards and done on a timely basis. She's also taken on additional responsibilities, is eager to learn, and is really a team player, not afraid to step up and help others where they need help and identifying areas of improvement. I've had a few conversations with Sarah, and she is refreshingly engaged on PWSA and its trajectory. And so we're happy to have her as a member of that compliance team. And I congratulate Sarah for the recognition this month. Also in the customer service team, nominated and recognized this month is Rhonda Lee, who is our customer service training coordinator. And in just short of 1 year, hard to believe, I felt like I just met Rhonda in her first week. She's made a really positive impact on our newly hired and existing employees as in her role as training coordinator. She does all of the onboarding for our customer service employees within their first 6 weeks with interactive training. She shares presentations, she shares lessons learned and achievements, and she's also reviewing after-call surveys to follow up with customer service representatives. It's one way we continue to get better. Customers are given the opportunity to rate the service they received when they called us. I do encourage anyone listening to provide that feedback because it's helpful, and Rhonda is one of the individuals that will follow up with representatives based on that feedback. So she's a DIYer, I am told, which I love. She's figuring it out on her own in a relatively new role, and we're extremely lucky to have her on the team. So Rhonda, congratulations for that recognition. And all of these certificates will be in the mail for these employees if they're not listening here. Finally, I'd like to round it out with recognition from our field operations leak detection team. 3 members of that team, Deb Hearn, Tony Venenziano, and Keith Evans. Tony, Deb, and Keith really went above and beyond in looking after the health and safety of one of their colleagues. Last month, one of their colleagues appeared to be unwell on a previous day. The next shift did not report to duty. They quickly responded, gathered as a team, and actually went to their colleague's home where they found him in medical distress. So they were able to call 911, get their colleague to medical attention. And without that attention, we really don't know what could have happened. It would have been something much more severe. So their ability to quickly respond, to look out for their teammate is the reason they're being recognized today. I'm really happy to be able to do that. And their colleague is, I've learned, on the road to recovery. So we're really happy for that. To further thicken the plot a little bit, Deb and Tony were unfortunately involved in a vehicle accident at the entrance of Brilliant Yard earlier this week, where a vehicle blew past a red light, struck their vehicle. Deb is back on the job. I was able to visit with her and Keith yesterday, but Tony is still recovering. So please do keep him in your thoughts. It's a good reminder. Our folks are in vehicles every day, all hours of the night, often in risky situations. This was just sitting at a red light. These things can happen, but I'm told the whole crew at the Brilliant Yard responded quickly to get them help that they needed, and then to help law enforcement kind of track down the individuals that were responsible for the accident. So a lot of drama with this team. So please do keep them in your thoughts. But like I said, they were in good spirits when I was able to visit with them yesterday. So that rounds out the Excellence Awards. Congratulations to all the recipients this month. Really excellent that a lot of these contributors are being nominated, not just by their managers, but by their colleagues as well. And I encourage any staff listening in to continue to put them forward. Finally, on a bittersweet note, I will acknowledge this is likely Rosa Maria's last board meeting at the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority. She has served ably on this board for 3 years. We onboarded her during COVID. We were kind of still figuring out teams at that point. I think it took about 2 years for us to meet in person, but you were truly, during your service, an asset to the organization. Your perspective was fresh. You challenged us with really good questions. And we're just extremely grateful for your service on the board. I'm happy that our customer service and outreach team has met and established relationships with your team. So hopefully we're present at the Latino Community Center moving forward. But that's just a small benefit of your time on the board. So thank you, Rosa Maria.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, that closes up my remarks.
Any questions for Will? Yes, first of all, I think you're too modest. You didn't mention the fact that you won this industry leader award at the March of Dimes function, which is well attended. I think, Erica, you were there. So congratulations, another
Thank you.
opportunity to recognize the work that you and your team are doing. So that's always a nice thing. And on the Rosa Maria front, yeah, it doesn't feel like 3 years. That's for sure, Rosa Maria. As a board member, I feel like we have a fairly diverse board in terms of everybody's interests and so forth. And my interests tend to be more technical. And I appreciate the questions that you have asked of the board, both in executive session and in the board meeting, which mostly function on the ratepayer and the citizen, which we never want to lose sight of, that we're here for our customers and for our ratepayers. And you have, I think, in many ways have enlightened us in terms of nuances that we should be thinking about. As simple as, should our messages be in different languages and so forth, which would have gone by me in a heartbeat. So we appreciate all of the things that you've brought to the board. Sorry that this may be your last board meeting, but you've made a lasting impression. And as we said earlier, we have your number and we will contact you if we need you. So thank you very much for your service.
Absolutely. And
Would you
I
like to
will
say-
pick up. No, just thank you. This has been a great board to be a part of. And like I said in executive session, I've learned so much from all of you. You guys are so smart, and it's been an honor. And I'm not going anywhere. I literally just went, I think, 20 minutes north, right? But it's super important to have the voice and representation of people that use the water, right? And use the service. So it's the right thing to do. But I'm here. I'm not that far away. So
Great.
thank you. Yep.
Well, thank you for your time and your service. All right, we'll move to resolutions. And we'll start with resolution number 50, Mr. Barca.
Resolution number 50, authorizing the securing of funding by the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority from the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority in the aggregate maximum principal amount of $14,605,000.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 50, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 50 is approved. Resolution 51, Ed.
Resolution number 51, approving the reimbursement resolution for the 2023 Neighborhood Lead Service Line Program, Contract B, as required by the Penvest closing process.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Audrey, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 51, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 51 is approved. Resolution 52, Ed.
Resolution number 52, approving the contract increase and extension of a professional services agreement for financial compliance and performance improvement services to Raftell's Financial Consultants Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $266,629.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Approved and seconded. Any discussion? This work, Ed, is this, some of this still related to the stormwater
It is.
issue? Okay.
Yeah, so what this extension includes is a continuation of Raftell's services through this current rate case, and then any wrap up of the rate case early into next year, and then also the continuation of their stormwater support all the way through next October, so a year from now, roughly.
Just acknowledgement of the consistency of keeping those diversity goals in mind, and particularly on anything that's required a change. So good job there.
Thank you.
Very good. All those in favor of resolution number 52, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 52 is approved. Resolution number 53, which says BJ McFadden. No, Barry, do you want to take it? Do you have, or,
That is our oversight. Sorry about that.
Resolution number 53 is a request for the board's approval to award option year 3 of a multiple capital contracts for the 2023 small meter replacement project to Neptune Technology Group Incorporated and LB Water Incorporated in the total cumulative budget of $2,273,170.
thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Andrea. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you, Erica. Any discussion? Try to think of a really tough question since this is not your resolution, yeah.
Something
just to
very
put-
technical.
Just to put you on the spot, but. All right, all those in favor of resolution number 53, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 53 is approved. Thanks, Barry. All right, so we'll move to 54. A little
Resolution
more in your domain.
This is true. Resolution number 54 is a request for the board's approval of an amendment of a professional services agreement under our capital for the engineering services for the Highland Reservoir Pump Station in Rising, Maine to Mott McDonald LLC in the amount of $945,842.50. In brief review, note that Mott McDonald's engineering services for the project were initiated in 2017, and the project scope and involvement has evolved since that time. The construction of the Highland Supply and Rising Main project started construction in 2022 and is expected to be completed at the end of this year. And the construction of the Highland Reservoir Pump Station is anticipated to begin before the end of this year and will continue through mid-2025. Acknowledging that time frame, Mott McDonald has justifiably and reasonably requested an amendment of their PSA for additional budget to continue addressing design services during construction for the completion of both the Sublime Rising Main as well as the pump station. I can verify the request is fully within expected range of a total commitment for engineering services, which is approximately 2% of the estimated construction cost for the pump station. Staff recommends the board approve this award.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you. Any discussion?
This was just a change for the length of time to execute as opposed to other contingent factors, right?
Correct. Yeah, no oversights, no errors.
Well, this has been, as you said, Barry, it's been a long project, started 2017.
2017
2017. Is
initiated.
this the money that we are discussing today? This is changes over that time period, or were they specifically in the latter part of this group?
These are the latter portions. There was one previous change order. This is the second. This one brings it up to, it's a 26% increase. The overall, including that first one, is 38%.
Well, I know we took bids this week on the pump station, so
Yes.
congratulations on that. I know that'll be a huge project for us, so I'm sure over time, lots of things have changed in the water resiliency plan, so to justify this change order, so thank you for that. All those in favor of resolution number 54, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 54 is approved. Last resolution of the day, resolution number 55.
Resolution 55 is a request for the board's approval of a change order of the capital construction contract for the 2022 Neighborhood LSLR project for Independent Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $1,754,947.17 to allow PWSA to fully utilize the grant funds provided by the City of Pittsburgh from the American Recovery Plan. I did want to note that to date, we have addressed verifications at 2,230 sites, completing approximately 627 public and 635 private lead service lines to date. With the additional funding, we are projecting addressing verifications at least 154 more locations, with a rough estimate of approximately 52 public and 45 private lead service lines to be replaced with the additional funds. Staff recommends the board approve this change order.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Eric. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rosemaria. Any discussion?
just a comment to congratulate the authority and the continued leadership in these lead service funds and improvements.
Thank you, Jim.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? All those in favor of resolution number 55, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 55 is approved. That concludes our normal business. Anyone have any other business to come before the authority today? All right, we'll have to entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.